How you doing? Ryan Braswell, Local Realty, and welcome to this episode of Ask the Locals, where I have Patricia Olivia, and she is from Liberty National Title. We're going to talk a little bit about title. How you doing today, Patricia?
I'm doing well. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Well, thanks for being on. So I want to get right into it. This past week, was fortunate enough to attend a wonderful event that you had hosted at the new Baja Boathouse in Patchogue. Tell us a little bit about that. What was the overall goal, and what was the event about, and what does it support?
Sure, yeah. I'm a CE instructor for the state. We instruct a lot of courses, and that one was really designed to get the agent to understand the process of the vendors from an accepted offer to close. It was a 2-hour continuing education, and each vendor on the panel walked the agent through their process and their direct involvement in the transaction to get it to the closing smoothly.
Yeah, and it was definitely high energy and information packed, and the different vendors and people that were very, very informative. Do you do a lot of these events? Is there, tell us, where, when, a little bit more about the education side that you're putting forward for agents? Sure,
yes. I partnered in a real estate school called Academy Core, and our goal is to bring all sorts of classes to realtors, from the pre-licensing courses, the mandatory courses. We're getting experts in the business to do courses, and we're getting about 5 to 10 classes going monthly. And the great part about Academy Core is that we do have the restaurant locations as approved venues. So we'll be teaching anywhere from Patchogue to Massapequa, all the way out to Queens.
Awesome. And as you know, feeding realtors is one way to get them on board. Back in early on in my career, broker open houses always had food. That's how we got the agents to come to.
Absolutely.
I don't think anybody really does any broker open houses much anymore. So it's wonderful to help educate the community of agents and everything on contract to close and stuff. Can you do a quick overview for a home buyer on what exactly is title and what it is pertains to them in the real estate transaction?
Yes, absolutely. You know what? The average home buyer does not understand what title insurance is, why they purchased it, and who they purchased it from. So that's really what's kind of setting us apart, is that we're trying to give that consumer the direct approach, communication, experience that they're not getting in the transaction today. We are in touch with the consumer from the point of either listing a home or at an accepted offer, explaining what title insurance is that it ensures they own the home and that they own the home free and clear. And it's in a relationship and an experience that they need to be offered, for that matter. And that's what sets Liberty National Title apart, is our consumers that purchase a product from us know who we are, where we're located, they understand what title insurance is, and more importantly, they understand the value of the title insurance policy.
Of course, and the way it was explained to me was, title insurance insures you up to the time of purchase to make sure that whoever, had the ability, or whoever conveyed ownership of that, it keeps you, safe and sound, so that way nobody can come for any claims or anything like that. So those are typically referred to as clouds, so like cloudy title, correct?
Correct, yeah.
So what are some of the most common, clouds or issues on title that happen in our market on Long Island?
It's the refinances. Average homeowner will refinance once, twice, sometimes 3 times. When they refinance, they remove the prior lien from the property. It's paid off, but unfortunately, the title company is not satisfying the loan with the county records to show that the lien is no longer in existence. So it still shows as an open lien. So 90% of the properties here in New York State, it's the mortgages that were paid off, still showing as an open lien, and now we have to backtrack and find the lender that owns the lien, and sometimes that can take weeks, months, and if we don't get resolution on it, the homeowner will have to hold escrow on a lien that was paid off years ago.
Yeah, especially if the bank doesn't exist anymore, I'm sure that creates some amazing hurdles.
A lot of hurdles, for that matter.
That blows my mind. I know, here in Suffolk County, we pay some of the highest recording fees in the country, yet something as simple as recording a refi or something paid off, seems to be, tricky or challenging, I guess, for...
It is, and the only way it could be tricky and challenging is that the consumer does not know to follow through. Even after the purchase of a home, they should be following through with the title company, make sure the deed was recorded, make sure the mortgage was recorded. If they're refinancing, follow through with the title company, make sure the satisfaction of the lien is recorded at the county records. They don't know to ask those questions, and that's why this happens, unfortunately.
Sure, and so I'm sure you come across this, all the time. So Are these, reasons for maybe, somebody who's owned a home or maybe inherited a home to run title as a seller before selling?
Absolutely. Anybody that owns a home, the first thing that they should do is run title. The average homeowner is not aware that there's these possibilities of satisfactions that weren't recorded or even judgments against the property or against the homeowner. Red light camera tickets are now attaching to the homes. So I tell anybody that's looking to sell their home, run title first. Make sure title is clear, that there's no challenges along the way to offer the buyer a smooth sale, for that matter.
I personally had a boundary line issue, when our title came up. And I know that was a little bit of a challenge getting, everybody on the same page and having the boundary line agreement done. The attorneys handled it and did a phenomenal job. But what other kind of, challenges would Long Islanders face? That, somebody buying a home, what other little issues might pop up, aside from what we've just discussed?
The property line issues are big. Is that, buyer falls in love with the house and the fence around the house, and then they find out that the fence around the house has to come down because it's over the property line. I feel that, it's happening too late in the transaction. We find out about property line issues when the house is already in contract. And I tried to tell agents in the classes is that if we can wrap ourselves around listing a home, checking the survey, having the survey re-inspected, the buyer's purchasing a home, let's get the survey up front so we can find those property line issues before it becomes holding up the transaction, for that matter.
Yeah, having to wait 2 weeks for a fence company to come out and maybe adjust it or install a gate or something to make it, go away. You have somebody, they're ready to buy a house, they're negotiating, they get an offer. What should they do? What should they be doing from a title standpoint, aside from giving you a call?
So I tell every consumer, you're doing a home inspection, you also need to do a title inspection. And the title inspection, it checks for any liens or encumbrances, lawsuits, judgments attached to the home or against the seller that might delay the house from closing. So the title inspection should happen along with the home inspection. And that's a 10 years lien search against the property. We provide that to the consumer at accepted offer. And that's when we break down the title insurance fees. Lenders love us because now we're giving accurate closing costs, and the buyer feels more confident moving forward and signing the contract. Part of the search that we have to run.
Excellent. Yeah, people, one of the things that, the costs associated with title seem to be, there's a lot of confusion with it because people always wonder, well, what am I paying for? How am I paying for it? And then at closing, there's also that, hey, would you like to purchase additional, title insurance, so to speak? And people always seem to be a little bit, unaware of what those costs are. How do they determine the cost for, what the actual fee is going to end up being?
So the title insurance premiums are based off the purchase price and the mortgage amount. They're a formula, and they're set by the state. So every title company charges the same insurance premiums. It's the junk fees that are on the title bill that, they try to start questioning some fees on the bill that don't belong.
Sure. Yeah, it's kind of like, oh, hey, here it is, just sign, press hard,
Exactly.
Move forward with, this is your title policy.
Yeah.
What the heck is it? So what are some of the unique scenarios or what's one of an interesting story that's come up, one of the more complex, events that you've gone through as as somebody who works with title and real estate transactions? Like the biggest hurdle or fun conversations or something a little,
The biggest hurdle is the attorneys. The buyer gets to the attorney and the attorney orders title on the consumer's behalf. And many agents in my courses ask me, how do we get around that? They're paying for this insurance policy. They need to know what they're paying for. And more importantly, that they have a choice of where the insurance goes. When I teach in the classes, you have to give the buyer the relationship at accepted offer before they get to the attorney. That's been the biggest hurdle, is once they have sat down with the attorney, it becomes a little bit more difficult to, have a conversation with the consumer.
Okay. You work with a lot of different parties throughout the transaction. As you said, you got your bank, you got your buyers, you got your agents. Are there any unique things that you're doing to help coordinate and, make sure that things move smoothly throughout the entire transaction?
So yeah, that all comes into having the title up front, right? We pull the title accepted offer, and by the time it's in fully executed contract, with titles back, along with all the searches. So we're just moving forward in a way that we weren't moving forward before, because normally what happens, the attorney orders title at fully executed contract.
Sure.
And now it takes up to 5 to 10 days to turn it around, especially with Suffolk County and the shutdown from the cyber attack. It's harder to get documents out of the county. So we feel that the sooner we get on the ordering of the searches, the quicker we are to get to the closing table. Same thing with a seller. If we can pull these documents up front on the listing and then advertise to the buyer that we have clear title.
Yeah, clear marketable title. We can close real quick on this.
Right, and all the searches are on file. It really helps along, for a smooth sale, knowing that we don't have to go order and wait for that matter.
Sure, yeah, because title tends to be one of the things that seems to be ordered last in many contracts, and always seems to be the thing that causes the most issues throughout. So I like the approach of kind of going into it eyes wide open to make sure that you can kind of head off those, because title can be kind of complicated, when you're talking chains of command and who filed what, when, and where. So how do you guys ensure the accuracy and validity of the process? Like, is just some magical file folder or some website you go on and you search through everything, or is it down through the towns? Talk to us a little bit about that process.
We go into the county. So we have an examiner in each county. One's in Suffolk, one's in Nassau, and then we have one for the boroughs. And they stand in the counties waiting for us to send them properties, and they go through county records and they compile an abstract of title. So our insurance policy relies on that abstract of title, which is important to make sure that the title company is working with a reputable examiner, because if they make a mistake at county records and we insure over their mistake, the homeowner has a claim against the policy. And they don't want to file claims against the policies.
Of course.
Especially if they look at trying to sell or refinance. So again, we rely on the examiner's work at the county to ensure clear title. I should actually play a video of that in one of my continuing education courses. I videoed the examiner producing a title, and I promise you'll never want to do his job.
I'm sure when you know how the sausage is made kind of thing, you don't really want to deal with it. Sure, standing at a computer running through different records and stuff like that seems like it'd be easy peasy, but I'm sure it's a nightmare in some situations.
It is, yes.
So what's your next upcoming CE thing that you got going on, your next class?
Next class is June 5th, and that is at Boathouse in Massapequa. 3 hours of continuing education, and it's Title Insurance 101. So it teaches realtors the basics of title insurance. Many agents come out of that class saying, this needs to be part of licensing.
I do agree. It should. One of the unique things here, and as in Long Island, as agents, we don't really pull title. You go to other parts of the state and other parts of the country, and the agents are the ones who are pulling title and hiring title companies and whatnot. So it's a unique thing, especially in our market, just because there's very little knowledge about it from licensing. And then even through, training. I remember, in my career, training in education on title was few and far between if it wasn't for people like you who reach out to agents and provide services for us. I'm sure some people would just kind of coast on through without, learning about the process and how it can help benefit their clients to pull title up front. Patricia, we thank you very much for being a part of Ask the Locals, and we look forward to the upcoming continuing education. Tell us, how can we get in touch with you? We're going to put all this information in the description. There'll be links to some of the upcoming events and whatnot, but how can you get in touch with you?
631-923-2957.
Okay, and you guys, Liberty National has a website. Is that the best way to go?
MyTitleBill.com.
MyTitleBill.com. It's that easy. Thanks for watching Ask the Locals. Thanks for being a part, Patricia.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome.